Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. I'm in Summerville, Georgia, with Jenny Cross, Mohawk's Vice President of Sustainability. Jenny, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's been a while since we've talked. I'm down here because you're having an event today where you're cutting the ribbon on a new solar energy plant that's on this facility here in Summerville, right?
We are.
Just a couple quick notes on this. They've installed 900 solar panels. It's producing about a half a megawatt of energy, which is enough to power about 40 homes. And it makes sense that Mohawk does that here because of what's going on underneath the roof. Let's talk a little bit about that, if you will. This plant in Summerville, Georgia, is where you've spent a fortune. Maybe you can quantify this, but this is the Continuum plant. And tell us a little bit about what goes on here.
Summerville facility is the largest integrated bottle recycling facility that I know of, period. It's been in operation under the Mohawk umbrella since 1999. Traditionally a staple facility, but in the past several years, as consumer preferences changed, we changed. And we've moved to the Continuum process, which is continuous filament, with up to 100% recycled content, which is proprietary to us and something we're very proud of, and one of the biggest innovations as well for Mohawk in all the years it's been in existence. Now the panels, I think we're closer to 1,400 that are on the facility, about 628 megawatt that will operate out of here annually. Now that is a joint venture with the Solar Initiative through Georgia Power, Constellation Energy, and United Renewable Energy out of Alpharetta. So they provide the panels. Constellation is actually managing the prices, and we give them our roof to do it, and it's going to the grid for the Summerville area.
Okay, so is the power used in this plant when the plant needs it?
Theoretically, it could be, but that would be through Georgia Power and back to us, but it does go directly to the grid.
All right, so let's go back to what's going on underneath the roof for a minute. You've talked about the fact that this plant converts spent water bottles into BCF yarn, which you then transport to another location and make your PET carpet out of. And this thing consumes, you can process 200 bottles per second here, right?
Right about that. We are in the 5 billion bottle a year range now, and that is up since we moved to Continuum. We did see a decline in the overall market for a number of years, which took us down to about 3 billion, and now we're approaching 5. So there's a lot going on at the back end with trucks coming in from your curbside and my curbside and bringing in bottles to Summerville.
Now, you've been a leader in this conversion of drinking bottles to carpet, I think, from the very get-go. And one of the advantages you have with your process is you're able to take bottles from curbside, which means that it doesn't have to be pre-cleaned, pre-sorted. What enables you to be able to do that?
Well, the economics now of multi-stream recycling have really come a long way. I think when this facility started, which again was not under our umbrella, in 1989, they probably preferred the bottles out of a deposit type stream, which traditionally were much cleaner and came through. And then as things developed and we started pulling directly from waste haulers instead of tertiary markets, if you will, it made more sense for us economically to be able to bring them in, sort whatever we had to ourselves, because it's not completely clean when it comes in the back. We'll get some milk jugs and we'll get some soda cans, but there's markets for all of that. So we're almost a secondary recycler, if you will, after we sort and we sell, and we have another revenue stream there. So the economics of multi-stream have really come a long way to help the economics overall of PET recycling.
You made a point a minute ago. I want to go back to it for a second. This was an image facility, and so this process was actually started by them, and then you got them through an acquisition, right?
Correct, 1999. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of years in this facility.
Yeah, so they'd been doing it for 10 years before you bought them.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's expand on your role and Mohawk's rapid growth. Mohawk now almost a $9 billion company. Most recent acquisition, IVC. It's a global company now. You're Vice President of Sustainability. So the reach and the area that you're responsible for is global. Talk a little bit about how that's changed your role.
Sustainability on a global level is different in every location. We are obviously with IVC. We also have sites in Russia, Italy, France, Spain, Belgium, joint ventures in Brazil and India, distribution in Australia. We're all over the place. Local customs are different. Availability of resources are different. Everything's a little bit different. And then when you jump out of environmental sustainability and into the social aspects, again, that's very different. Labor laws and human rights and all over the globe are very different. So it's a challenge. It's one that I very much enjoy, obviously. And we make strides everywhere that we go. And what we are finding very quickly is the sharing of best practices back and forth. Traditionally people think that the European countries are much further along in sustainability than we are. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I think we're, in a lot of cases, at least for companies like Mohawk Industries, are on par domestically with what we're doing internationally. And we have shared learnings, and it's really taken us a long way over the last several years to get where we want to be globally.
They talk about the 3 Ps of sustainability, people, planet, and profit. And what we're talking about today, solar power, this is on the planet side of it. As we look just at that piece of sustainability, give me a read, if you will, because I know you guys do some research. This story plays very well to the commercial market, and the residential consumer is still just somewhat mildly interested in that. Is that correct?
Yeah. You can dissect the residential consumer into a number of different levels, and you have what we would call the traditionally very green consumer that it matters more to, and then you have those that are semi-green or not green at all. So I agree with you, but I think in most cases we still find that sustainable attributes are a bit of a tiebreaker. So if I have the color carpet that you want and I have the style that you want, and it is at the price that you want, that sustainable attribute might turn you over to what I have. Now, the other part of that is, as a company, if I take off of sustainability as a whole and I start looking at the talent that we can bring in as an organization, I don't like to leave that out, because the generation coming through our colleges right now are attracted to companies that have shared values. And sustainable companies have shared values with the millennials that are coming through, and we know that. So our ability to bring talent into this organization, this manufacturer-driven organization, is vital that we share the same values that they do. So sustainability goes so far beyond just the environmental attributes, and I try really hard to bring that up anytime I have an opportunity.
That's a good point. We've all heard that the millennials that are coming into the workforce now really are interested in what a company's corporate culture is and how they can make a difference. And so I think Mohawk in this area is certainly trying to make a difference, right?
Oh, I agree. I think our employees are engaged. Our culture has really, over the last 5 to 10 years, really moved towards this, because it's something that you and I do in our homes. We want to be able to do the same thing in our business, and when we go to work, have the same attributes. And I will tell you that our human resources team uses our sustainability report and other items like that probably as much as any other part of the organization, including commercial.
All right, Jenny, well, it's great to be with you. Again, been talking to Jenny Cross at the Mohawk Summerville Continuum plant, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.